As a 5-year-old boy in Crieff who dreams one day of having a family that will live in an independent Scotland. Shout for him while he waits to get old enough to get on the bus to come here at some point in the future.
We have a birthday shout out. Hang on a wee second, I took a picture of it.
So William Wallace's cousin, hey! Khalil, he's from the Moorish end of the family folk don't talk about.
It's Joanne Burrow's birthday!
Joanne Burrow's, happy birthday, Joanne. And in independent Scotland, it will still be your birthday.
Yeah.
Things like that won't change. We'll just be more progressive. We'll make sure that those with the greatest need have that realised, and those with the ability to deliver more to the state will have that realised. We'll live in a more egalitarian. But it'll still be your birthday, Joanne, so that won't change. So don't worry when the haters say, oh, all your birthdays will disappear and everyone will become left-handed.
Shut up now.
And for Falkirk.
Honest to God, I can get this shite in the house. So I need a man just talking dead loud at the top of me. This is why we never get married.
I always want a civil partnership. I don't believe in marriage. I believe it's patriarchal and it subjugates women.
That's why I'm going to put my toe up the crack of your ninky now. How we doing, people? Let me hear all the strong women in the park. That's what we need. Let me hear all the men that aren't frightened of strong women in the park. See? What are you doing? This is the right time to do a crossword, Hardy.
No, it's 3 down, and it's...
Yeah, that's never happened to you. So...
It all happens to all men. It's stress-related. It's nothing to do with you, Janie. You're very attractive.
I am. I'm gorgeous.
Talking about hugely powerful women...
Yeah. Did you like how I did a segue to that?
Well, I just think, for those of you that watch the news, I'm awfully proud of the representatives sent down the road to... I'm reminded of... When Mahatma Gandhi came to England in the 1930s, King George said to him, Mr. Gandhi, what do you think of Western civilization? And Mr. Gandhi said, I think it would be a good idea. And when I watch our representatives down the road, I kind of think civilization would be good for them in Westminster. No woman, perhaps with the exception of our leader, has stood with her head and shoulders above the parapet and been prepared.
Can I say her name?
Say her name. When no one is around you, say, baby, I love you. We've been playing games.
Let's all say it together, the one and only Joanna Cherry!
Yay!
For such a lovely reception. I'm really incredibly proud to be asked to speak to you here today. It's amazing to see such a huge crowd of independent supporters in the middle of Scotland's capital city. And I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on this march today, because your confidence that independence is coming is not just heartwarming, it's also inspirational. And I know that as well as marching in joyful celebration today, you people who are marching are also the people who chap the doors and have the conversations with your neighbours and your family and your workmates and friends. The conversations that are convincing more and more of our fellow Scots to see how our future together is better as an independent nation. So I know that as well as marching here today, you are the people who fundraise for the Yes movement. And I know you are the people who do the groundwork for the Scottish National Party and the other pro-independence parties. And I know that you are the people who will make independence happen. So you should all be very proud of that, and don't let anyone ever say otherwise to you. In the midst of this toxic mess that Britain's in at the moment with Brexit, it's really wonderful to see such a positive outpouring of self-belief. And it's very important that we never let the positivity that started during the Indie Ref in 2014 is very important. We never let that descend into the sort of acrimony that we see at the heart of British politics at the moment. And it's very important that we understand and know that abusing and threatening those with whom we disagree is not the way to go. And I know that you know that already. And I know, because you are part of the movement, I know that you know the way to win independence is by calm, rational argument. But equally, days like today, when those of you who are the foot soldiers of our movement get together, are really important as well. And I want to say something about the independent Scotland that we aspire to create, because I think it's very important to say that it's going to be a very, very different place from Brexit Britain. And it's going to be an inclusive society and an egalitarian society where diversity is celebrated and immigrants are welcomed as new Scots. And it's going to be a fairer society where our pensioners get decent pensions that they've worked for all their lives. And it's going to be a fairer society where the burden of taxation falls on those best able to pay it. And it's also going to be a country that will lead the world in the fight for climate justice and the campaign for nuclear disarmament. But most of all, our independent Scotland will be at the heart of Europe, sitting at the top table. And we will not be like nationalists from England who want to be cantankerous on the sidelines, wishing for the British Empire to return, because that'll never happen. Now, the message that the unionist parties want to give us is a negative message, and they want to say to people in Scotland, you can't do this and you can't do that. And of course, last week a Liberal Democrat member of Parliament actually said to his constituents that he would rather they faced the catastrophic damage of a no-deal Brexit than become an independent nation. But of course, we know that's nonsense, because as we look across Europe, we see examples of small independent nations thriving and taking a seat at the top table alongside their larger neighbours. And nowhere do we see better the contrast between what Scotland is and what Scotland could be than when we look at the position of Ireland. A small, economically successful nation on the fringes of Western Europe that takes its seat at the top table in Europe and that dictates the EU's negotiating strategy while Scotland is ignored on the sidelines. But you know, the great thing, friends, is that Scotland hasn't been completely powerless in the struggle against Brexit. There have been some victories against the British government, and I've been very proud to be part of them. But those victories came by working with others. So when I worked with Andy Whiteman and went all the way to the Court of Justice to get the ruling that Article 50 could be unilaterally revoked, that was a defeat for the British government. And you know, we had to fight them the whole way, and many commentators ignored or belittled our efforts, but we won through. We won at the end of the day. And equally, with the challenge to Boris Johnson's prorogation, that wasn't just my case. There were other SNP MPs, Labour MPs, Lib Dem and independent MPs who all joined together, but the SNP provided the leadership. And when we started that case to try and have the prorogation declared unlawful, Legal commentators north and south of the border said that we would lose, and media commentators were sceptical or just ignored us. And then when we lost at the first hurdle, they poured scorn on us. Then when we won before Scotland's Supreme Court, they belittled Scotland's Supreme Court and said surely that would be overturned in London. But we persevered and we won 11-0 in the United Kingdom Supreme Court. So we won against all the might of the British government, such as it is these days, against all the odds, because we had conviction and self-belief. We knew that in an independent Scotland, with a written constitution, we would have a proper set of fair rules, not a ragtag of conventions and so-called gentlemanly agreements. And we kept going, we kept fighting, and we righted a wrong. And that has been news across the world, that Scottish politicians led the legal fight which forced the British Parliament to go back to work. And by God, do people across Europe now understand why Scotland wants to be an independent nation? So, my message to you today is that independence is coming soon. In the current fog of British politics, it's hard just to see when and where the opportunity will arise. But it will arise, and we have to be ready for it. So my question to you today is, are you ready? I don't think they can hear you at the BBC. Are you ready? I don't think they can hear you at Westminster. Are you ready? Well, my friends, you look pretty ready to me. So my message to you, to coin a famous phrase from another Liberal Democrat, is go back to your constituencies and prepare for independence.
Joanna Cherry, MP, QC. Fucking brilliant. As they say. Just think about this for a minute. How many members of Parliament are getting that reception in the United Kingdom at present? There are very few leaders, and we seem to have most of them.